Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Happy Monday. Haven't seen you guys for a while. I was taking care of some things for myself, making sure that mental health was in check, making sure that I was in check, and also taking a much needed break from some of the buffoonery that has been going on in the streets. Um, Some of you are familiar with some of the cases that have been going on. I post things on my community tab just to give you guys an update on some of the things that are going on. So, some of you are keeping track with some of these cases. So first, let me say the Nicholas Cruz case, the Parkland shooter, the one that went to the high school on Valentine's Day and shot up the school. Um, the jury decided that he deserved life in prison, but his actual sentencing has been delayed because they want to give the victims an opportunity to speak up and have their say before he is actually sentenced. But according to the jury, they feel that he deserves life in prison for his actions. Now, going into this Darrell Brooks situation, I don't know if any of you guys are actually familiar with what's going on with Darrell Brooks or who Darrell Brooks is. This is a young Black man. At this point, he is now 40 years old. When this happened, he was 39 years old. He allegedly, he is being accused of driving into a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. And not only driving into that parade, the parade route, but in driving in that parade route, he unalived 6 people and injured over 60 people, allegedly. Among those who were unalive was an 8-year-old boy. In this particular situation with Mr. Brooks, they are calling him Darrell. In video, you hear him say Darrell. There's a lot of back and forth about what his name actually is. If you guys are not watching this trial, I would definitely suggest that you watch this trial and see what's going on. Now it's actually coming up. I think that it's about to be his turn. And let me point this out too as well. He is actually representing himself. He has 6 unalive people on his that are laying at his hands, at his feet right now, and he is representing himself. So, and he also declares that he is a sovereign citizen. So he started out with public defenders. He had 2. He started out with public defenders, and he decided at some point that he no longer needed those public defenders and that he could do a better job defending himself in this situation. And once again, he is accused of unaliving 6 people and injuring over 60. And again, he has made the decision to represent himself. So what I am going to do, there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of twists and turns in this story. So there were some things that took place before this parade incident. There were a couple of incidences that took place. My goodness. It's something that you have to watch because I see a lot of comments that people are making. If you guys watch Court TV or Law and Crime Network, you get to see a lot of what's going on. And you see a lot of the comments that are being said by a lot of people. A lot of people feel like he is evil. They think he's the devil. Some people think that there may be some type of mental health issue. Some people feel that that he's just putting on. I am going to, before I even get into that, I'm going to show you a snippet of his first court appearance. This is his first court appearance with him knowing exactly what his charges are going to be. exactly what he is being accused of, including how many people were involved. Um, and I'll be looking at you guys' comments as we watch this because it is a very, very, very interesting case. And let me give my condolences to the families that lost their loved ones or had loved ones that were injured. This took place on November the 24th, 2021. I can't talk right now, 2021. So this just happened last year. It has not been a year yet since this happened. November 21st, 2021. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. For those of you who are not familiar with this case, I want you guys to see exactly what is happening with this. And we are currently at the point now where pretty soon Mr. Brooks is going to be presenting his case as the defendant. He will be presenting his own case with witnesses and everything. Again, he is representing himself. So let's do this. This is Mr. Brooks.
This is case number 21 CF 1848, State of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks. Matters tabbed to Judge Lau. Appearance by the state, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Sue Hopper and Leslie Bailey, attorney for the state of Wisconsin.
Thank you. For Mr. Brooks.
Darrell Brooks appears in person in custody with attorneys Anna Keys and Jeremy Berry.
Good afternoon to you. And we are here on a criminal complaint that's now been filed. Mr. Perry, Mr. Brooks acknowledged that he has received a copy of that complaint and will await its reading over the court here today.
We have received copies of the criminal complaint. We've made a formal reading.
Thank you. It may at some point be relevant, but the address on the complaint is accurate.
That's right.
So I'm gonna pause this 1 second. So these three individuals represent the prosecution. They represent the state, who has filed the charges against Mr. Brooks on behalf of the people that were injured and or unalived in this situation. So these three individuals right here are they're the prosecution, and you will see that Mr. Brooks at this particular time had two attorneys.
Thank you. And Mr. Brooks, I have reviewed a copy of this criminal complaint. I will find.
These are his two attorneys at this particular time. He had a male attorney, he had a female attorney. Both of those attorneys were appointed to him at that time, so he did have representation. A lot of people have been putting out there that he did not have adequate representation, or that he wasn't offered representation in this situation. He did have representation, not one public defender, but two.
And it does state probable cause as to each of the five charges before you. You're charged in count one with first-degree intentional homicide. That's a Class A felony, and that has a maximum possible penalty of being sentenced to imprisonment for life. That's for victim A. Count two, first-degree intentional homicide regarding victim B, is a Class A felony. And again, the maximum possible sentence is a sentence to imprisonment for life. Count three, first-degree intentional homicide regarding victim C, is again a Class A felony, and that's punishable by a sentence to imprisonment for life. Count four, first-degree intentional homicide regarding victim D, again is a Class A felony, and that's punishable by a sentence to imprisonment for.
I want to pause this because you guys are getting to see his first response to actually hearing what he is being charged of. He had no idea if someone was unalive, if someone made it. Like, he didn't know any of this stuff because he kept on going, allegedly, if this was him, because he kept on going. So this is the first time he's actually getting this information from the judge, giving him a breakdown of everything that he allegedly did and is being charged for.
For life. Lastly, count 5. First-degree intentional homicide regarding victim E is a Class A felony that is punishable by a sentence to imprisonment for life. As those are felonies, you're entitled to have counsel. You're entitled to have also a preliminary hearing. And I, again, have found probable cause to each of the 5 counts upon my review of the pleading. So we will turn to Attorney Hopper for her bail recommendation.
Thank you, sir. As to bail recommendation, Your Honor, I'd like the court to be aware of a prior criminal history as it relates to Mr. Brooks. I can advise the court he has arrest record from 3 states to include Wisconsin, Nevada, and Georgia. Starting with the state of Wisconsin, the record begins in 2000. There was a conviction in that year for substantial battery, party to a crime. A prison sentence was imposed but stayed for 3 years probation and 6 months condition time. 2002, conviction for possession of marijuana as a repeat offender, sentenced to 50 days in the House of Correction. 2003, misdemeanor conviction for resisting obstructing, sentenced to 20 days in the House of Correction. 2005, there's an arrest from Langlade County. Ultimately, he was convicted of a county ordinance violation for disorderly conduct. What's remarkable about that is that he failed to pay the fine, so he was ordered to serve 30 days in jail on the non-payment. 2009.
So I'm going to pause right here really quick because a lot of people would say, well, what does this have to do with anything? He has all of these priors, but that has nothing to do with what's going on right now. When you see the actual bail or hear and see the actual bail that they are requesting, then you will understand why they are giving his past criminal history. Also to show a specific pattern of behavior. And if you do the math, and let me check something real quick. His criminal history dates back at least 21 years. It would date back at least the age of 19. And I think it would be safe to assume that what they're reading out right now does not include anything that he may have had on his juvenile record, if any. So these charges, his criminal history, as we know it, him being an adult, started back at least 21 years ago.
A Manitowoc County conviction for obstructing an officer, sentenced to 2 days jail, time served. 2010 conviction from Wood County, Wisconsin. He was convicted of the offense of strangulation/suffocation with other charges of battery and criminal damage to property dismissed and read in. The court ordered a withheld sentence for 3 years probation. That probation was revoked, and on August 1 of 2011, he was sentenced to 11 months jail. 2012, he was convicted at the same time on 2 separate files in Milwaukee County. First file was a charge for possession of marijuana as a repeat offender, sentenced to 180 days in the House of Correction. The second file, he was convicted of misdemeanor bail jumping and misdemeanor possession of THC, also sentenced to 180 days in the House of Correction, concurrent to the other case and concurrent to each other. In May of 2012, there was a conviction for resisting obstructing. He was sentenced to 37 days jail consecutive to the earlier sentence imposed in April of that year. He's currently pending on 2 charges in Milwaukee County. 2020 CF 2550, he's charged with 2 counts, second degree recklessly endangering safety while armed, and 1 count of felon in possession of a firearm. The date of that offense, all 3 offenses, is July 24 of 2020. It's believed he was arrested shortly after that incident and remained in custody in the Milwaukee County Jail until released on bail there for reasons of a speedy trial violation on March 3 of 2021. Bail at that time was lowered from $7,500 cash bail to $500 cash bail. In that case, Your Honor, it is alleged that he got into a fight with his nephew. The defendant fired one round from a handgun toward the vehicle that his nephew was in. The vehicle was occupied by another person, and that accounts for the 2 charges of reckless endangering safety. The next day, he was taken into custody, and the residence where he was located, he was found to have a loaded 9mm handgun just a few feet away from him. The handgun was previously reported stolen. Again, he was a convicted felon on that date, so that accounts for the 3rd charge. He's also currently pending the Milwaukee County case number 21 CF 4596. That has a date of offense of November 2, 2021. He's charged there with resisting obstructing, felony bail jumping, 2nd-degree reckless endangering safety in a domestic violence situation, domestic DC, and domestic battery. The allegations in that case, Your Honor, are that he struck the mother of his child in the face with a closed fist. Then as she was walking away from him, he intentionally ran her over with his vehicle. The vehicle in that matter described as what's believed to be the same maroon 2010 Ford Escape used in the allegations in this case. Police went to his home and found him getting out of that Ford Escape. The defendant ignored their commands to stop, and he tried to run into the house before he was apprehended.
Okay, so we're going to start right there. So as you can see, he definitely has a long history, not just a criminal history, but he has a long history of what would be considered violent behavior. He has a battery charge. He has a separate charge for strangulation / suffocation. He had 2 counts of reckless endangering the safety, basically, of his nephew and someone else when he fired a 9mm into a vehicle that his nephew and another individual was in. He had a domestic violence / battery case with his previous girlfriend, also the mother of his child. In that situation, he was charged for hitting her with a closed fist, as well as running her over with the same vehicle that was allegedly used in the parade incident. So he has several things going on, and those charges were still actually pending. They are pending to this day. So go back to him representing himself. And I want to go back just to this video because I want you guys to get a little bit more of his a little bit more of what's going on with this situation, as well as his reaction. You guys, if you have any thoughts, put your thoughts in the chat. Because like I said in my title, I have been doing a case study on this. And I want to get you guys' reaction. I want to get your response as to what you think his motive may have been in this situation. Was it just that he is an evil individual? Did he have, or could he have, had possibly some mental health issues? Like, what exactly did this man have going on that would possess him? No pun intended with the word possess, but what would have possessed him to drive into this parade route, knowing that it was full of not just people, but kids, young adults, and older people? Because a lot of the people that he unalived were actually elderly individuals that were a part of a group called the Dancing Grannies. He also ran into a Catholic group. it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to take in. So just trying to figure out the whys, just so let's get back into this.
We have flight, obstructing, bail jumping type behavior, Your Honor. It's remarkable that these are violations all around the state of Wisconsin, not just his home county of Milwaukee, but we had convictions from Wood County, Manitowoc, and Langlade. I'd like the court to be aware of a record from the state of Georgia, Nevada. We'll go to Nevada first. That happened, the first conviction was from December 11th of 2006. He was found guilty at trial of a misdemeanor count for obstructing an officer.
This video footage right here is actually footage that came from a Ring doorbell from a house that he went to after the parade incident. He wrecked his truck down one of the streets, jumped out of the truck, went into a neighborhood and was going from house to house, ringing people's doorbells, trying to get someone to let him use the phone so that he can call himself a Lyft or an Uber. Call his mom so that she could get him a Lyft or an Uber. So this is actually Ring footage from the individual that finally did let him into his house. Try to give him some assistance, thinking that he was a homeless individual, because that's how he represented himself. So this is where this footage actually comes from in this particular section.
Was sentenced to jail in Nevada. Also on that same day of December 11, 2006, he pled guilty to a domestic battery as a misdemeanor, and the court there ordered a suspended sentence. On March 16th of 2007, he pled guilty to statutory sexual seduction, a felony. The court ordered a suspended sentence for 36 months probation. He was also ordered to register on the Nevada Sex Offender Registry. He is currently noted to be non-compliant with that registration requirement. On June 23rd of 2016, he was charged with a sex offender registry violation, first offense.
Okay, also with this actual footage is unique in that initially, whenever the situation started, and remember I told you this started before the parade, so there's actually footage of him getting into an altercation with his child's mom, the one that he had previously ran over and hit with the closed fist. There was an altercation that happened with her before this incident, and it seems as though that incident is what ultimately led to this incident, as if he was in some sort of rage from the incident that happened with his child's mom. So in that incident initially, and as he was driving through the parade route, he had on a gray hoodie, covering his head. Dreads were covered up. He had on a gray hoodie. And in the video with the girlfriend and her friend, two other friends, he also had on shoes. At this particular time, now that he's at this man's house, he has already wrecked his truck. It is 30 to 40 degrees out there on the day of this incident. So it's cold and the wind is blowing. And he is now out here in a sweatshirt because he ditched the hoodie. He's out here, in a t-shirt with no shoes on, and 30 to 40 degree weather. Keep that in mind.
He failed to appear in court, and a warrant remains active for his arrest. So he currently has an outstanding warrant for his arrest in the state of Nevada. In Georgia, Your Honor, the record reflects a May 27, 2021 arrest for misdemeanor battery.
So the house that he went to, this gentleman right here, who actually testified today, this gentleman right here was kind enough. He opened up the door. He let him use the phone, took him around the back of the house and let him come in the back because he didn't have any shoes or anything on. Brought him in the house, made him a sandwich, gave him a coat since he didn't have a coat, and offered him some slippers to put on so he would have something on his feet. So we are witnessing him right now allowing this man to use his phone to call his mom to get him an Uber or a Lyft from the scene of the crime, basically. What's going on, Shayla? Somebody finally spoke to me. Hey. So was he trying to play the role of being mental to get off, even though he was abusive? I'm going to say in watching the trial, I don't think he's playing a role because, and let me just come back up here really quick. I don't think he's actually playing that role because he's actively representing himself. He's going through case laws. He's objecting. He's going and he's repeating certain laws that apply to him being a sovereign citizen. He's questioning the judge. He is actually making some valid points in his cross with some of the victims that have come on the stand. The question would be that I would hope everybody would be looking for, and the thing that I'm looking at, because people want to say that he's evil, is it that he is evil? Or can we say that this is one of those moments? Because judging on the trial and some of the things that you see on video and stuff like that, it could lead one to assume that he didn't realize what he did until after the people told him, you did this, and this. And some of the footage of the video, because different people had different footage because they were actually recording the parade. His eyes, he looks completely out of it. Now, he's not getting off the hook. Yeah, he definitely not getting off the hook. That's a definite, like, there's no way out of that, child. He's not getting off the hook. But the thing is, he can't say that he didn't do it because even with the conversation with his mom, she asked him why he did it, and he had no reason for doing it. He didn't know why. So it would be one of those things like, did you really like mean to go in there and hurt all those people? Or this situation with your, ex, because the police were called for that situation as well. There was a little physical thing with one of the friends, and he sped off like a madman, and like he's on the steering wheel just focused. Like there's no, you don't see any type of feeling in his eyes. You don't even see any type of acknowledgement that people are there. And I want to go back and actually put this up really quick because to me it says a lot. Now, do not think that I'm saying that this guy was just mentally ill, therefore he's not responsible for his actions, because that is absolutely not what I'm saying. But based on the trial, it has me wondering, did you have a situation where what we would call blacking out? Are you seeing red? You were that mad with this girl that you just went and just, because everything that he did was so erratic. Everything, like nothing made sense. And it was me watching his initial response in court when the judge was reading his charges off, and him even during the trial when the medical examiner testified. And this was a medical examiner that did the examination on the 8-year-old boy. Brooks broke down in court. Now, of course, in the chat, people saying he's faking, he's doing this, he's doing that. If you look at stuff realistically, you can tell when something really hits somebody. Like you finally realize that you unalive the 8-year-old boy. And the medical examiner was going detail by detail about, exactly how he was unalive, what caused the injuries, what the end result of that was, what was the fatal wound. And the medical examiner herself started crying on the stand. This is something I have never seen in a trial before, with the medical examiner getting emotional while on the stand. So that they had a moment. They had to, shut stuff down for a minute. They had to call a break, give people a chance to gather their bearings, and come back and and do it again. I'm going to post, well, not post, but I'm going to put this, if I can find it. Because there have been it's been a lot. It's been a lot of stuff that has gone on with this trial, and this guy was, I guess he's an aspiring rapper, or he was at some point. So I was just looking at how he was presenting himself here, and this is the best one I can find. I can't find the picture that I was actually looking for, so I'm just going to show this one so you guys can see a picture of his face at this particular time. I want you guys to see this really quick. So just looking at him in this particular frame, this face says a lot to me. I don't know what you guys think, but this face right here, and this is while he was this is recent. He has on what we would call a suicide smock. That's also what he had in his first his first appearance in court. So that's what that is in that picture. This is him representing himself in court last week. So no longer has his dreads, no longer has all that facial hair, all the extra stuff. But even last week, it started off, he got upset, they had to put him in a separate courtroom, and he was having to basically do his stuff virtually because he kept interrupting the judge, kept having outbursts. He got in the other room, took off the shirt. It was a mess. It was a mess. And with certain things, like, I guess my thing, this is him in the car. This is one of the still shots of him in the car. You can't really see his eyes on this one, but you can tell that he's just staring forward. You see one of the people outside of the car that was like in the parade. He's staring straight forward, not making contact with anybody. He's staring straight forward, like these people, like they don't exist. This is a closer picture, so you guys can actually see the suicide smock that he has on. This is to prevent him from doing causing any harm to himself in the midst of all this, especially when he's first coming in. This is another picture of him in court. This is him basically protesting to what was being said in the courtroom. Again, he does not, this was the picture I was looking for. To the average person, I would think they might think that he looks a little scary. I don't know what you guys think, but those eyes, and let me put, because this is a side by side, so you guys can get a good visual from here to here. And this picture, I would say that I see more sadness in his eyes versus this one. he seems to be completely in a whole other world in this picture to me. But those are just my thoughts. This is a shot of the vehicle, a still shot that was pulled from a video. This is the vehicle that he was driving. It was a maroon colored Ford Escape that he was driving at the time that he did all of this damage. And I want to show you this picture because this was after the parade. This is what the truck looked like. This is just one of the pictures. I actually have a few of them, but this is one of the pictures since I'm just pulling this off Google of what the vehicle looked like. I mean, it's definitely definitely an interesting case. It's something for people to think about. And this is why I say, you know, getting upset with people and just responding any kind of way, or even coming after people. You never know what a person has going on in their heads. You just don't know what a person has going on, and you don't know how they may respond to a situation. So I think it would behoove us, you know, those of us who are trying to remain in a safe position. That's why I say sometimes, you know, mind your business, stay out the way. Now, the people that he hurt, injured on the live, they were minding their business. I just want to say in his particular situation, just seeing what he has going on, yeah, that's not. One could say that his behavior was predictable. I mean, you could because of the history that he had, but even in his arrest, he was well mannered. The guy that testified that let him into his house talked about how well mannered he was, and everything he asked him to do, he did it. The police talked about how he cooperated with them when they told him to get on the ground, and whatever they told him to do, he cooperated with them. And basically, he was acting as if nothing happened. Now, the key word here is acting, because is that something like, do you really not recall what you just did? Or are you acting? Is this merely an act because you don't want to get arrested at this particular time? He went in with no incidences. He didn't buck. He didn't do anything, and still had a sandwich in his pocket from the guy's house that he was able to go to. I want to pull his video really quick. And Facebook is probably going to hit me for showing his video, but I'm going to show it so you can again get a basis, so you can like get a starting point, a baseline of how he was before this incident. I want to get that full video. Give me a second. Okay, so we'll go with this one. Keep in mind, one of the interesting things in this situation too is because he is representing himself, he is able to cross-examine everyone that the prosecution puts on that stand. Not the very first person, but one of the first people, the first individuals, maybe the third or the fourth that he was able to cross-examine was the friend of his child's mom, as well as the child's mom, the one that he allegedly ran over in the past and hit with the closed fist, the one that he had got into the altercation with. Her and the friend another friend, a male friend, They got into an altercation before the stuff happened at the parade. He was literally able to cross-examine these people. All of them held it together pretty good. But I must say that even the child's mom, she didn't waver. The friend of the child's mom, you could tell that she was, more so in her, he was kind of getting her and her feelings and her testimony. So he was able to get, get her caught up in a couple of things. And this is what I'm saying. Even if he tried to, let's say he was pleading not guilty, due to reasons of insanity or whatever, you can't even play that because you're showing that you're smart enough to represent yourself, that you're able to present case laws, that you're able to sit here in the capacity of an attorney and represent yourself. And the crazy, one of the crazy things that's going on with this is once he got rid of his attorneys, because that's something he had to go through the court to do. And even against the judge's better judgment, look, you say you want to represent yourself, you've proven that you can. Listen, go ahead, if that's what you want to do. I'm telling you shouldn't do it, but if that's what you want to do, then hey, that's on you. So you can't play the insanity card. He could try, but he's trying to make it clear. And one of the things that this judge is doing in this particular situation, there's a female judge. I think she's doing a bang up job. People got upset with her because they felt like she was pacifying him. And I feel like what she's doing is showing, because she commends him. She compliments him on when he is able to have some type of appropriate decorum in the courtroom, she acknowledges it. If he's able to give a good argument, she acknowledges that. And people think that she's just being soft. I see her as doing something, putting things in place to block any chances of him saying that he's going to appeal based on the court's behavior, based on the court not treating him fairly. So everything that she's doing, even if he tries to come back with, talking about insanity, she's telling him, look, I can see that you did your homework. You studied, you understand the information. And this is even after he may have completely disrespected her, she's still coming back and she's planting that seed at the end of the day. So if somebody wants to go back, or he wants to go back, and he said it, he accused her of a couple things on the stand, and you could tell she was a little heated, but she still came back and she did her thing. I'm gonna go, and hopefully this video is gonna play because it is actually buffering at this point. Before I play that, let me read the comments that we do have in here. Let's see. Esmeralda, hey, how you doing? He has abuses, physically 3 different baby mamas at least, shot and gun his nephew, and got a 15-year-old pregnant when he was 24. Yes, we went over. I actually showed the video of the prosecution going over his criminal history with this stuff that happened in the past, and there are so many other charges on his rap sheet. Those kind of anger issues are they are absolutely serious, and that's what I say. A person like this, you don't know what that person has going through his mind. I'm pretty sure when he left that day, even though this girl that he ran over, this is the same girlfriend, the same child's mom that he got into it with right before the parade. She is the same one that he ran over. So I'm pretty sure that when he left that day, she didn't think that he, just because they got into an altercation, that he was going to go and just pummel people in this parade. Not, with complete disregard of anybody's life. I'm pretty sure that nobody, regardless of him having all this stuff happening in the past, even with him running her over before, I doubt that anybody thought that he was capable of doing all this extra. But then again, when you hear his criminal history, maybe he was capable of it. Maybe it was just a matter of time. Maybe he was a ticking time bomb. Maybe it took that one thing to trigger. We don't know what that one thing was. That's why I think this case is so interesting, because it has so much going on. And he literally He doesn't have a defense. And not once has he said that he did not run these people over. He has not. The only thing that he is disputing in this case, he's saying that his name is not Darrell Brooks. You heard the first judge refer to him as Darrell when he was apprehended, when he was detained. He told them his name was Darrell Brooks, and in court they are calling him Darrell Brooks. So I think that's like something that he keeps bringing up, and I think also the fact that his name was in all caps on the paperwork, like it's like some crazy stuff, but that's like one of his main objectives. But he has not at any point said that he did not run these people over. He has not. He has no defense for that. None at all. I predict his defense will be that he didn't intend to anyone, but we'll see. I think so too. Because a lot of the questions that he's going back to, especially with some of the officers that were on the scene, the guy that testified today who actually let him in the house, it was about, did I give you any reason to be afraid of me? Did I do anything? Even with the didn't you see me try to swerve? Did you ever see me hit the brakes? Didn't you see me hit the brakes? There was no barrier. Like the barriers were up at the road. I couldn't get out. Even though eventually he ended, once the cop shot, the 3 shots, he went ahead and busted through the barricade. I agree with you 100%. That's gonna have to be, and that's where I think he's going with that, because he keeps getting, and today, with one of the female officers that was on the stand today, he made some valid points today, because she misidentified the clothing that he had on, and she said it with certainty, and he was able to go back and get them to pull the video, and even the other cops, all the other cops that allegedly saw him, they identified him correctly, and he was able to point out some inconsistencies in this female cop's testimony today. So there's nothing that he can do to disprove anything they said about him running these people over. Like there's nothing. So the only thing that you can do is basically try to prove that it wasn't intentional. For him, it's just about reasonable doubt. So he's trying to put some kind of doubt in the jury's mind. So he keeps asking questions about who is the actual plaintiff in this case. He's saying that the state cannot be the plaintiff. The plaintiff has to be a living, breathing person or a business entity. It can't be a group of lawyers representing a bunch of people. There has to be an actual, like, one plaintiff or 2 plaintiffs that are representing that. So that's one of the arguments that he keeps putting up there and putting up for the jury. In the chats that I'm seeing, a lot of people were thinking that he did not understand it. That, again, they thought that he was dumb. They thought that he didn't understand the difference between the plaintiff and the defendant. They didn't understand that what he was trying to do was show the jury that there was, in his mind, according to the laws, that, because he keeps talking about jurisdiction and all this stuff, that there is no actual plaintiff. So he keeps harping on this. I think there was maybe 2 people that took the stand that he didn't ask those questions to, but he keeps harping on that. Do you know who the defendant is in this case? Did the defendant contact you? Have you had any conversations? I'm sorry, not the defendant, the plaintiff. Do you know who the plaintiff is in the case? Has the plaintiff contacted you? Have you ever seen the plaintiff in this case? Like, he keeps harping on that. And of course, the judge keeps denying, forgive me. The prosecution keeps objecting to that line of questioning. The judge is sustaining those objections. He's trying to get the judge to put on record, that she is sustaining these objections. He feels like these are fair questions and that the jury is being misled, that they need to know what the definition of a plaintiff is and who can actually be a plaintiff in this type of case. So even though it may seem a little crazy, it seems a little redundant. He has some type of plan in his mind. He has some type of plan. And like I said, he has all of the paperwork. We're assuming that he has all of it that the public defenders were going to use in his case. That's why people see the box of information. He's just able to go into certain folders and he can pull out the reports, the written statements, victim impact statements. If they file some type of claim, because some people were able to file injury claims, medical reimbursement claims. So it's like I said, it's hard to go with the insanity plea, because even today, the guy that let him into the house, that gave him the coat and all that stuff, he was able to point out that, you know, the guy took that ring video, the same video that you guys just saw a few minutes ago, and he sold it to the media. Brooks was able to pull that out of him. He was also able to pull out how much the guy made from the video, which was over $23,000. So he's saying that the guy, as well as a couple of other people, may have had some type of financial gain by coming on the stand and testifying against him, or by making certain statements about him. So yeah, the insanity plea is definitely a no-go in this situation. He cannot plead insane in this video. I'm going to show this little clip from this rap video. Now this shows more. Let me make sure it's up here. This is going to show a little bit more, but I'll try to cut it off at the right spot. This is the same vehicle that was in the video. Let me just take that back for a second. The same vehicle that is in the background in this video. And we can also see that he identifies as a blood. Let me take that back one more time. Here we go. This is the same vehicle that he has in the video that was involved in the hitting of his child's mom, which was not on the same day as the parade. And this is the same vehicle. I'll just fast forward this so you guys can see it busting through, like initially coming through the parade. Same vehicle. This maroon colored Ford Escape. Same vehicle. Ugh. So there is no denying. What's going on, Lavelle? There is no denying that this is actually his mom's vehicle that he was driving. That is his mom's vehicle. Now keep in mind with what he has going on, that's going to be the last thing I show y'all, the interview with his mom. And that's the last thing I'm going to show today. And I'll come back with some more information, but I don't want to make this video too long today. So let me just go ahead and get that up real quick. And And let me make myself a note because I want you guys to see part of his ex-girlfriend's testimony where he was actually able to cross examine her. Now, that particular thing, I can say that he appeared to get some enjoyment out of being able to not just cross-examine her, but to even have any type of interaction with her. It's like you could tell he felt like he felt like he had some kind of control over the situation with him being able to ask her questions that she basically had to answer. He was able to see her get frustrated with some of the questions that he asked. So I felt like he got some type of, enjoyment out of that. That wasn't necessarily it definitely wasn't a good thing. And let me just see if I can pull this up this way so I don't have to go back through all of my videos. And actually, the mom did more than one. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to hold off because I haven't seen that one myself, but I have seen the other video. Let me see what you guys seen on the screen. I have seen the other video with the mom. So we're going to start.
Brooks's mom, Dawn Woods, says the state called her as a witness to testify, but they withdrew the subpoena. When I sat down with her for an exclusive interview since her son's trial began, she says that brought her relief. From fighting to the judge to taking his shirt off, the trial has really been nothing short of dramatic. And that's why Woods says she isn't watching because, well, it's just too much for her to take.
Right now, I'm just heartbroken, just shattered.
Did he ever talk about driving through the parade route? Did you have a conversation with him?
Early on. And he does not remember. Every time Darrell goes into a manic where he explodes like that, he does not remember what he did. You have to tell him what he did.
Now, the mom just kind of helped set the stage on something because she used a key word right here, and you guys can see it on the screen. I don't know why they put girl. Every time he goes into a manic, every time he's having a manic episode, he explodes like that, and he does not remember. So that's going to be key. Is this something, was he actually manic? Does he have bipolar disorder? And he was having a manic episode. Is this something that he's being treated for? Is the mom just calling it manic? Is there any documentation, any type of proof that he actually has a legit diagnosis of bipolar disorder? Because he honestly acts like he does. And that just because you have bipolar disorder, that doesn't mean that you don't remember things. But he really does. He has no defense for what happened, and he actually acts like he does not remember. He actually appears shocked with some of the testimony on the stand. But let's go back to his mom.
Yeah. He know what you told him, but he can't recall the act. I don't believe, from what I've known and what I've seen, that Darrell was even in his right mind. I don't think he was even conscious to what he was doing.
Whose idea was it for him to represent himself? Was it his, yours, together?
No, I would never advise him to represent no one to represent themselves, especially in a case that's so serious.
But he insisted?
No, he felt that his lawyers did not have his best interest at heart.
So he's been in court and he has taken off his shirt and he has interrupted the judge, and the judge has thrown him out saying, you can't keep doing this. His behavior in court, and we've seen this play out, is erratic. At times towards the judge, disrespectful. What do you say to that? What message would you send to him?
I have talked to him about that, and I have told him, I said, you're going to have to try to keep a cool head because it's making you look bad. But he's not medicated. They're not giving him anything for his illness.
What message do you have for the families?
I just want them to know that was not a deliberate act. When you're manic and you're out of control, you don't know what you're doing. He didn't know he didn't know what he was doing. He was not in his right mind. It wasn't intentional. He didn't mean to hurt nobody. We talk about the families often and the victims, and he says to me that he prays for them too, and he has to live with the fact that regardless of what goes down, what happened, 6 people died because of him. He is very, he's full of shame.
You brought up the little Sparks boy. What would you say to his mom tonight? If she sees this, what message would you like to say to her?
I would tell her, not just his mom, but his dad and his brother too, that little Jackson, he had his whole life ahead of him. And he's now a sweet angel. He did not deserve what happened to him.
Do you think Darrell should go to prison, and for so how long?
There should be some accountability to what he did. Yes, ma'am. How long? That's not for me to say. My only concern was that instead of being prison, I feel he needs to be institutionalized where he can get the help he needs.
And again, Dawn says she doesn't plan to watch any of the trial again. It's just too hard because she sees.
So they cut some of that off, but the mom did say that she asked him specifically why, and he said he didn't know. He didn't have an answer. I am going to end this at this particular time. I wanted you guys to get just the foundation, the backstory of what is going on with this particular trial. It usually starts about 9 o'clock. For me, Eastern Standard Time, it usually starts about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock their time. But it's a very interesting case. And for those who are interested in stuff like this, or even trying to study human behavior, I think that this would be a very interesting trial for people to watch. There are different news stations. I guess those are local news stations to Waukesha, but it's also being shown on Court TV and Law and Crime Network. So if you are actually interested in seeing what's going on, again, they will resume tomorrow. You guys will see the prosecution present their next witness. Did they close today? Hold on, they may have closed today, because I didn't get to see the ending today. But you will get to see, if they didn't close today, then actually sometime tomorrow, Darrell is going to be presenting whatever he has. He has not made an opening statement yet. He declined to do an opening statement at the beginning. He said that he would do it later. So maybe before he calls his witnesses, again, he is representing himself, so he is able to call witnesses. The last time they said something to him about his witnesses, I think he said he had 13 witnesses that he was supposed to be calling. Whether or not he actually gets those witnesses to come in, that's something that is yet to be determined. So it's something interesting to watch. At this point, let's be clear, it's not about whether or not he did it. I'm saying that he's been accused, try to use the word allegedly. He has not denied doing it. You can see him in the car. So it's not about whether or not he did it, because he definitely did it. So it's at this point watching what type of defense he's going to put up for himself, since he felt that the attorneys that went to school and got their law license, he feels that they weren't equipped to take on his case, that they didn't feel had his best interest at hand. And I'm thinking, they weren't saying the things that he wanted to hear from them. They weren't gonna be throwing out all that stuff that he's saying about, is this let's get on this jurisdiction stuff? Is that a judge? Is that whatever determination? Is that your judicial? They're not gonna do all that stuff. They're gonna stick with the stuff that they know is, legit. So I'm pretty sure he was asking them, well, what about this? Y'all need to say this. And they were like, no, we're not doing that. It doesn't make sense. So he felt like he could do a better job himself. Or he got to the point where, listen, he knows that he's not getting out. He knows he's not getting out. So it may be, a situation where he's like, well, I'm not getting out anyway. So why not represent myself? One thing to be aware of is that Wisconsin, they do not have the death penalty. So that is not one of the options for him. So it's life sentences for the lives that he took and the people that he hurt, but there is no death penalty. So that option is not on the table. So either way, he knows he's going to be in prison for life. And I feel like that's why he just said, bump it. I'm gonna be here anyway. Let me go and do this. I don't think that he thinks he's getting out. I really don't. I really don't. I guess it's a matter of, are you gonna get 5 life sentences or 6 life sentences versus 1 life sentence? Who knows? We will see. He wanted his lawyers to use sovereign citizen law, and they wouldn't. I wouldn't either. That's what I'm saying. They're going to use stuff that's legit. All that extra stuff, all the extra bouffale. If I'm an attorney, you're not going to get me up here looking a fool, up here talking about some sovereign citizen stuff. No offense to anybody that claims to be a sovereign citizen. Do your thing. Do you, boo. But no, absolutely not. You're not going to have me. No. He should not get out for this crime he did. He's not, Shayla. He is absolutely not getting out. He is not getting out unless God himself says, you know what? You getting out. Other than that, he's not getting out. He is not getting out. So with that being said, guys, I hope you got something out of this. I am going to come back with some more information for you. I encourage you guys to go and watch the trial. I see Esmeralda has been watching the trial and what's been going on. So I would encourage people to look and see what's going on, so that they'll be caught up and in the know. Even God can't get them out of it. Child, that I'm saying, that's the only thing. It's gonna have to be God. Hallelujah. It's gonna have to be God, and that is it. And let me tell you something. I need to get on off here, but let me tell you something. As these people, because these witnesses are watching the trial, okay? As they get up there and they see how he's confronting each one of those witnesses that get on that stand, they're getting more and more emboldened when they get on that stand. And now it's not, well, the defendant, They're being intentional when they say, you know what? It was you. When you did such and such, when I arrested you, when you ran over the people at the parade. Who is this you you're speaking of? That's you. When I saw you, when I apprehended you, when I saw you driving the car. It's no more, people aren't walking around on eggshells. Like they are in it. They are invested at this point, as they should be. And they want to make sure that he is held accountable for his actions. And that is one of the things that I am noticing at this point. The more days that go by, the more stronger the witnesses appear to be on the stand. And initially, like, it seemed like he was able to intimidate a few people, and that is not the case. These people are getting on this stand and they are ready. Okay, they are ready. But I posed the question about whether or not this is evil versus mental health, because in the midst of all of this, hallelujah, Mr. Brooks is sitting at his defense table with the good word. He has the Bible at the table with him, and every now and again you'll see him look down and he'll read a little passage, get a little scripture. So I'm assuming that somebody giving him a little word of encouragement. Here, go and read this scripture while you're in there. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Hey, God hear you cry, that don't mean you're gonna get what you want. Let's be clear on that now. But he still listens. He still listens. So is it evil? Or is it mental health? This is the case study. This is a criminal case study that we are looking at right now. I thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back. Please go and look at some of the trial. I promise you'll get stuck watching it. You will definitely get stuck watching it because it's interesting. Thankfully, it has calmed down some, because initially there was a whole lot of going on, okay? He had to be taken in the courtroom, out the courtroom. In the courtroom, he's holding up a sign, objection. They gave him a little sign, laminated sign. It was just a whole lot of. So, again, check that out. For those of you who made a comment in the chat, I appreciate it. Having a little dialogue with me about what's going on. And I will come back and we will do a further discussion on this. And we will also talk about Miss Collier. The unaliving of Miss Collier, because they still haven't figured that situation out. That was a female that came up unalived here in Georgia. And I won't get into that because I want to stay focused on this, but I'll come back with some more information on that as well. Also, we still have the 24-year-old that came up missing in Georgia. She is still missing. She has not, I'm sorry, y'all. Well, she hasn't been found. They do have the two suspects, but as for her, they have not found a body. So the family's still hoping that she's still alive. And we also still have a missing Yaron Katuri, the 17-year-old boy, again here in Georgia, that came up missing and was also dealing with some mental health issues. Child, listen, I don't know what Herschel has going on here, because I can't get with it. I stay out of that, child. I don't know the child. For me, Herschel, he need to just stick with his retirement and football. That's all I got to say. I can't. Child, all of them got some mess going on to me. All of them got some mess going on. Like, everybody need to sit down somewhere. Everybody need to go sit down. Don't sit, sat. Do it in the sat. Let's do it like it already happened. Go sit down somewhere, because they just, it's a whole lot of, and people coming out and Shayla say no. They just got a whole lot going on, child. And I'm like, you know what? These are one of the times, because I am a South Carolina girl, these are one of the times that I am definitely claiming South Carolina. I am not claiming Georgia when it comes to this mess right here. Only being here 2 years, okay? 2 years. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the live. Again, I will come back maybe tomorrow, depending on what happens in court. on tomorrow. But again, thank you for the interaction. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you would like to become a certified dime, hit that membership button, that join button. And I will catch you guys later. Thank you again for tuning in. Share the video. And if you are part of the replay team, then leave your comments in the comment section. I promise you I will read your comments. Y'all have a good one. Bye.